Okay, so how do you know the difference between an economist who's being honest and an economist who's not?
Because the economist who's being honest is going to give you advice you don't want to hear. An economist that is lying is like Oprah. You want to hear it. Your biggest anything that sounds great. We could print off more money. It's not going to be any inflation. It's not your fault. You're unemployed. It's the patriarchy. You're pick whatever group. Any degree is a good degree. I can major in fluffy bunny studies and get, a $250,000 a year job. Of course you can. If you don't, it's Trump's fault. Nothing productive or good in any system comes from less effort. Everything that is good comes from work and pain and sacrifice, or cost. We just call it cost. Either physical labor, time, money, intellectual rigor. You have to sit down and think or study and research. Your car doesn't fix itself. You have to get under there, bust a knuckle, and get dirty. And so anyone who tells you in anything, whether it's economics or not, if it sounds good, chances are it's not true. If it sounds, losing weight, how do you lose weight? You work out more and you eat less. That's it. And that's the truth. And it's the same thing with economics or any other field, I'd imagine.
So do you think they're all in on it? Like, do you think they all know, or do they?
I think both. I think some people actually believe their own farts. I think they actually, because they were academians, they've never tried to practically put it into the real world. Joe Biden.
They're kind of in a bubble.
They are very much in a bubble. They actually believe their own stuff. Biden has never worked a real job in his life. He has never been outside of politics. He's been in office longer than I've been alive. And this guy is leading the freaking country. So I could see people like that who come from genuinely privileged backgrounds, never had to work. And then you have a perfect example would be his wife, Jill Biden. She has a doctorate in education. That's not a real thing. That's not a real, you're not a doctor. You're a make-believe play school playmate doctor.
My brother refused to date education majors. He said they're too stupid.
And they are. If you look at the IQ, you rank by IQ. Early childhood education majors have the lowest IQ. Up top is astrophysicists and economists, I might add. But yes, I do believe these people, a fair amount of them believe their own shit. And then others, I think Paul Krugman is one of them. He's too smart. Having read his stuff a long time ago.
Oh, who's that?
He's probably the most famous boomer economist. Now Thomas Sowell has taken over because he is awesome. He's dope.
That's my other. Him and you are like my two favorite books. Like one's from you and one's from him.
I just would like to meet the man before he passes. But Paul Krugman, I think he knows he's too smart. The way he writes in his research, I'm like, dude, I see what you did there. Like, it's conscious. He knows what he's doing. He is making a ton of money telling people in the New York Times or whatever advisory or politician, he's making a lot of money. So I don't think he believes his own shit.
So you predicted 2007, 2008 crash, and there was a bunch of economists that also predicted it.
Yeah, it wasn't
just you.
Yeah, it was. There was Peter Schiff. I mean, we're gonna go back 15, 16 years. There were other people out there who were, even The Economist, the publication was worrying about price to rents and some other indicators. So it wasn't like just me. There were thousands of people who saw it. It just wasn't popular to point out, because once you point out, it was the same thing with the dot-com bubble, which probably predates.
Was that the 90s, right?
That was the late 90s, where if you told someone, these companies that don't make no money, I don't know how their stock prices keep going up. You need to make money for that to happen.
There's going to be an influencer bubble?
There's
I'll
have to look at it.
People that like make so much money off of just doing nothing. And I mean, there's people that are legit, but there's people that just like off of Snapchat making thousands and thousands of dollars a day. And I'm like, this can't go on forever. There has to be some catch.
Yeah, I don't know if there'd be an economic way to analyze. I'm sure there always is, but I think that's just good times don't last forever. Save your money. Like, I have not been pissing away my money for the past 15 years. I'm just like, what? I get paid to yell on the internet? Like, okay, we're saving. This ain't going to last forever. And surprisingly, this lasted a long time. But yeah, all good things come to an end. Predicting it, I wouldn't know. But all it would take is another adpocalypse from YouTube or a great demonetization spree. I could see it happening. There's been a piece of me that's wanted to look at what is the up, because it's all based on advertising. What is the possible upper limit? Like what % of our GDP or economy is going to be YouTube advertisements? You know, how many people, you could kind of see it already in OnlyFans where it's very asymptotic. The top 1 or 2% make nearly all the money and the bottom 98 don't. So I'm thinking if that money from advertising starts to shrink, yeah, you could have a collapse. And certainly if people spend their money and borrow money and thinking the good times are going, oh, I'm making $2 million a year for the rest of my life. Like, no, man, save your money. Don't buy boats. Don't get fancy cars.
Yeah.
Just save your money. And then if it goes away, you can be retired for the rest of your life.
Right. Okay. So you predicted that. And then, did you predict like what do you think is going to happen in the future now?
Just same thing as we are now. Long ago, people asked that, and I'll say the same thing I said about 20 years ago. I think we're just going to slowly decay into like a Brazil.
Okay.
A solid second world country. It's my predictions become true, but it's just a gradual, slow. We'll have our ups and downs, but you're going to have more inflation. You're going to have less labor force participation. Our labor productivity will go down. Our debts are going to go up. The currency is going to become less and less valued. Yeah, pretty much we're going to slowly, we're going to become an unnotable country. We're not going to become, a third world war torn shithole, but we're not going to be, the idea of American exceptionalism is over.
When would you predict that would happen?
I don't like times.
Right.
Because it's akin to like, well, when is this, I could tell you there's an overhang of snow for an avalanche. Like that has the potential. That's going to be an avalanche someday. Where, in which snowflake, and where does it fall on that avalanche to achieve the critical mass that it causes it? I don't know. It crashes and economies and all that. It's more like you can see the potential fuel for an explosion. Where the spark's going to come to ignite it is another issue. So it's real hard. You ever see what was the movie? It was about The Big Short.
Yeah.
Did you see it where the numbers and the data started coming in? Like people weren't paying their loans back.
Yeah.
And the quantitative analyst was correct, but Wall Street kept bidding up the price of housing assets. You can have the data coming in saying, oh my gosh, it's all over. But psychology, the mental, the psychology of the market will keep it going up and being irrational. Even after the empirical evidence comes out, says this is wrong, this is bad. And so, yeah, it's real hard to predict when. Essentially, when are the normies going to pull their heads out of their ass? That's the question you're asking. Like, I don't know normie behavior.
When will they pull their heads out of their ass?
Yeah, when did the normies say, hey, wait a second, we can't print off all the money. Hey, did you know getting a master's degree in education doesn't get it? I mean, look at education.
Right.
I wrote Worthless 2011. That's 13 years ago. It warned everyone about worthless degrees. People, take a wild guess. National Center for Education Statistics.
Up, not down.
Well, no, the
okay.
Overall enrollment has gone down, and the enrollment and choosing of majors that are poor have gone down, but microscopically so. We're 13 years after that came out, and about 85% of the kids who go to college still major in worthless degrees.
85%?
You have the news. The news, I mean, and there's debate on what one considers a worthless degree. I consider, are you going to have a job at the end of it? Okay. But we have had news media coverage about the education crisis and the student loan crisis, $1.6 trillion. Young people, the Zoomers now who are the college-going age, it's not like they haven't seen the millennials, like bodies on the floor, like a battlefield with just all these millennial bodies who've been ruined by their worthless degrees and their student loan. Yet they still go and 85% of the time about, plus or minus, they're choosing these joke degrees. And so it takes a long time for normies to wake up to bad things. And it's impossible for an economist or anyone else to predict when that will be. When did poofy bangs go out of style? When did the queen bee of the 80s decide, I don't like poofy bangs anymore? And then it cascaded. It's impossible to predict that trend. But you can look at the numbers, you can look at the data and say there's a mismatch here and it's got to correct sometime.
I can't believe it's that high, 85%.
Yeah.
It's mostly women getting the worthless degree.
No, last stats I pulled, 60% of men's choices are pretty worthless, and women's like 90, 92 or so. I'd have to, again, look at the data.
Still 60% of guys.
The vast majority of all people are wasting their time in college, and they are crippling themselves financially, men and women. Men, you could go up and say, hey, stop majoring in political science. You tell a girl that, why do you always my dream? I hate you. You're patriarchy. All right, fine. Go be poor and debt-ridden and go join OnlyFans. I don't care.
I'm curious if you think because you would say economics, that's a good degree?
In hindsight, no. Horrible degree. Horrible degree.
I mean, I didn't use it anyway.
Yeah, no. I would not recommend an economics degree at all. You got to get a doctorate. I got lucky. I don't have a doctorate. I don't even have a degree. I have a minor in economics. I just ended up doing it.
Okay.
It was weird. But generally, you got to get at least a master's, if not a doctorate. Then you're going to go work for some stodgy, boring, go work for the Fed. You go work for a bank. For the most part, if you do any real work, you say, God, we can't increase the debt anymore. You'll get fired or you'll be lectured. And no, it's just totally not worth it.
I am known for asking questions.
Yeah, no, you would make a horrible economist. Do anything. I made a horrible economist. There's just no one who's honest going to economics.
I did business administration. I double majored. Was business admin good? Probably not. Dang it. Okay.
You need accounting or some. Yeah, and that's where a lot of people would argue with me is that for all business degrees except for accounting and IT are
I didn't
worthless.
Look at all at the jobs after.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know what I wanted to do.
But why does it take us 15 years to have this conversation?
Yeah.
You know, and glacially slow to get, like, we're 3% less kids going to college. Okay, that's the right trend, but we'll finally get to where we got to be by 2275 at that rate. And the financial costs are way too here. So getting people to wake up is impossible. It's just impossible.
So good. I'm no better. Dang it, guys. Okay, but good degrees are accounting,
STEM, engineering. Yeah, I wrote a book called Worthless. If you want all the details, it's there. No, I'm not updating it for inflation. People go, you're going to update it for inflation. No, I'm not. Just multiply it by 1.7. You'll have your numbers. There are the trades, of course. Yeah. They're medicine, and some of which aren't even 4-year programs, like radio tech or radiologist tech or X-ray tech. So there's anything with a truck driver, you know, you go and they'll train you in. So you can do your research, but the education, whether it's trade school, self-study, online, or an in-person college, make sure there's a job at the end of it.